Hello, we are here with Sarah and Marcelo Bussacarini, and I would like to introduce you these two friends of mine that they are very close to my heart, and that God gave me them since I arrived, basically like a year after I arrived in Australia. So I met them, and I used to say that Marcelo replaced my kids for a while, but now my kids are back. So I'm back, no, they are here now. And thank God for that. Thank you very much for this interview, Marcelo and Sarah.
You're welcome.
And I would like to start with Sarah. She is, again, Portuguese ascendance, but she's Australian.
Yeah, born and raised in Australia, but Portuguese background. Yeah.
Mom and dad are Portuguese.
Yeah.
And I remember your mom did this Portuguese
Tarts.
Oh my God, so good.
I should be a base because both my parents cook really well.
So good. And Marcelo is Brazilian, but he's already on Australia. He's an Australian citizen, and he is here for 10 years
10
now.
years now, yeah.
Oh God, the time flies, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So I'd like to start with Sarah. Can you tell us a little bit who you are in Christ and as a professional, or
Sure.
your private life, a little bit what you
Sure.
like to say?
I've been married to Marcelo for 8 years.
8 years
year.
already. Oh my God.
Sorry for
God, give me patience. No, it's been great. You know, we've had some really great. We love to travel. We love to travel. We've gone to some pretty amazing places, so that's been pretty cool. From a professional perspective, I'm a brand manager at a major food producer, a big multinational company, and I look after their marketing and production of.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
And what drives you for this corporate world? It seems that you're very workaholic, as I can remember. Are you?
Yeah, I guess it was just I am one of 2 people in my father's entire family that has a degree, and it was something that I had always aspired to. But again, also being able to use that knowledge to use in my local community, in my local church. I actually met Marcelo working on a church project for a communication plan that we had for the youth department of the headquarters of our church here in Sydney, and we got started working on this project, and we fell in love and we got married.
Oh, that's good to know.
I conquered Sarah through a PowerPoint presentation.
All right, the PowerPoint power, right?
PowerPoint presentation. So no, we've always had we work together professionally really well, and he works more from a B2B perspective. I work from a more B2C perspective.
Yeah.
But working together has always been really nice because we both do marketing. But bringing that back to our to our local church, our local community has been really cool as well.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And Marcelo, what about you? Tell us a little bit who you are and what you're doing, because I was very curious about your new career, which is fantastic. Cybersecurity, isn't it?
Yes. So we've been working this American company, IT multinational company, and I take care of the marketing side for one of the divisions they have for cybersecurity. So I'm head of marketing for Asia Pacific. So Asia Pacific, it means India to Japan, China to New Zealand, everything
It's
in between.
one of the biggest market in the world.
Yeah.
In terms of population.
And growth as well. So my role is to make sure that I'll take care of all the launches and the product wise, and take care of the awareness of what is cybersecurity, and how people can be protected.
And what is cybersecurity?
So
I guess you are curious, as I was as well.
so if you imagine, before, the concept of security was, let's protect a bank. the physical assets of a bank, for example, or your house or your company. They have you hire a person with machine guns or whatever, a bodyguard to physically protect you. But as you move into a digital space and digital world, everything's digital these days, including your bank accounts. Your money is actually not physical; it's a number in a computer. Your most assets, your valuables, normally are digital now, including your data, your information about you, who is Monica, right? It's all in the internet, and that's valuable, right? And for the companies, they own and they carry in a lot of data, a lot of information about customers and people. So the concern now is, okay, so even though I have a massive infrastructure or massive bodyguard or security teams to take care physically, now the concern is actually how to protect the data. And so the job is make sure that we can protect the virtual assets and make sure that people understand that the world's changing, and if they change, they need to change mentality of how to protect things. So that is my role, to have a team of people that actually takes care of the message across Asia Pacific.
And he is one of the youngest, if not the youngest, executive for this area in cybersecurity, in the marketing area, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's been a blessing to be sitting there on the senior leadership team in, I think, at least 12 years.
I'm very proud of you. Really, I am. Yeah. And
That's
Sarah as well, isn't it? He was so proud of your husband.
Totally.
Very good. And how being a Christian impacts on your job and on your daily activities? And let's reformulate, like how being a Christian not only impact but influence your life and the lives around you.
Look, it's a good question. So in the corporate world, we tend not to talk about God, right? Yeah. Everyone has their own religion. We do respect every religion everywhere, and as we should to do that outside corporate as well. But for us, just being us and being make sure that we treat people fairly and make sure that we treat customers fairly and treat it's both be transparent about things and being there, being able to sometimes just be listening to people and talking to people and be used by God to be just being there. It makes a lot of sense. And one of the examples that I before I struggled with that is how can I actually be there and help people. And sometimes just by being there with these people that actually, as they grow in career, as they get more senior in career, they have less and less chance to talk to people about what they're going through, the problems
they get very isolated.
Correct.
Because their lives is work.
Correct.
Yeah.
And sometimes
you can have the it's pretty daunting to talk about a weakness that you have, especially if you are very corporate. And it's hard to admit that you're struggling.
Yeah.
So
because it's not looked as a good
a
thing.
weakness, a weakness of of sorts.
Yeah.
So
So sharing your weakness is quite hard, but sometimes because the way that we take care of life and people trust you and you're not kind of person to be gossiping around, telling people, you tell me something, I'll tell Sarah because what do you know what's happened to Monica? That's something that's against what we believe, right? So that thing, giving trust to people that can share things with you, can talk to you, and sometimes just be listening is something that already happened and it helps people. But also being able to share your own experience. Look, I went through this in my career, in my life, in personal life. We're able to help these people as well. So it's good.
Does make a lot of difference, isn't it? Because we carry the Holy Spirit with us. We carry the presence of God with us. Even if we don't say a word, He's there with us.
Yeah.
So that, do you feel the difference around you?
I guess there are some people that respect you for having a religious belief, and there's others that somewhat feel it's a little bit ridiculous in this day and age. I mean, there's a lot of drama going around in terms of different religious organisations, but I'd like to hope that they can see something a little bit different in me that's different from everybody else. Just because I am religious doesn't make me better than anybody else. but I'd like to think that it would help me become a better person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how's that for you, Marcelo?
Same, I'll say the same. So it's sometimes, as I mentioned before, sometimes just being who you are. I think for me, being Christian means that I'm someone that people can trust, right? Someone that people can actually see that I'm a little bit different. Not that I'm better than one, but I'm a better person. So I think what Sarah said is quite important for me. That being able to help people is something that is always core to us. So how can I actually be in a situation that I can see to say, look, you know what? It's not about me. It's about how can I help the person.
Yeah.
It's not being just mindful of our own situation or our own circumstance, but being aware of people around you. And I guess we've been blessed in the sense that we can easily do that because we belong to a church community where everyone looks out for each other. So if you see that, you know, there is someone that's struggling, you know, you go out, you go talk to them, you know, you see how they are, and I guess that's just facilitated that positioning within the workplace as well.
And that translates to personal life as well, right?
Yeah.
So things that we do. Look, and not sitting here like, oh, we're so good. We help people. No, it's not that. I think we're sharing what we believe that's good, but we're not perfect, right? We do make mistakes, and but what we try to do on a personal life, that's where I think it gets more exciting. So everyone, when people ask me how we're doing, I normally answer like, it's almost Friday, right?
Yeah.
And what people don't realize, the reason to say that is, I would normally say, cannot be better, it's almost Friday.
Yeah.
And the reason to say that is because normally we have our group that we see each other every Friday. And it's a group that we decided to create 10 years ago to help people. So the way that my wife describes is quite good. We help to help the Brazilian communities actually here struggling.
And in which sense? How is this help then?
Well, there's about 18,000 students arriving to Australia every year. I guess there's the perception that, you know, Australia is the land of the plenty, and that life would be much easier than what it is in Brazil. But once a lot of people arrive here, the language is difficult to learn. The work is hard to find. To find stability in terms of finding a home to live in, without having a rental history or you know, being on this whole, you know, visa renovation. So there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of stress in terms of that readjustment phase. And what we've tried to do is reach out to them and go, you know, look, you know, we're similar to you, you know, we've come from a similar place. Many have had very similar situations coming to a new country and having to readjust and find themselves. And we're here to help you.
Sometimes it's the language, sometimes it's the cultures. Because we found, I don't know if you that are watching know, that most of Brazilian that comes here, of course, they come from a background that is medium and high class, but they come here and they have to start cleaning bathrooms. They have to start cleaning houses, and Marcelo's stories is different than that.
No, but he has had some phases in his life where
you did cleaning.
I did
not cleaning, but
I did construction and
you did construction.
Yeah.
You know, and for his family in Brazil, I mean, his father and mother just, it was very, you know, difficult for them to understand. For Brazilians,
for our background, it is different.
For ego, right? It's an ego thing. So that's what we're trying to say. Look, you know what? And that's a beautiful thing about Australia. And that's one of the most things that I do appreciate about Australians. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter who you are. You are someone that's worth to pay attention of and take care of, right?
Marcelo's even tested that once. He went to the bank all, you know, straight from work, and he was all dirty, and you know.
No. I wasn't just dirty. I had mud.
Mud.
Right? The only thing I didn't have mud in my body was just my eyes because I had the glasses wrong.
Oh my god.
And in Brazil, in a scenario like this,
they will put you out.
They'll kick you out from the bank, right? And the manager of the bank came to the door to say hi and take me inside her room to make sure that I was getting treated fairly. And she asked all the questions and literally helped me to do the whole thing I had to do.
Even
covered in mud. And I was embarrassed to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna step in because I'm actually covered. She said, don't worry, we'll clean up later. That's fine.
That's very good.
Right? So that mindset difference actually helped us to tell people, you know what? Australia is different. And going back to the small group that we work with people is how it's a lot of people's depression because of all of these and all the
A
problems
lot
as well.
of big readjustment.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
depression. They have different problems. So we started this 10 years ago with a group of us.
And so we just don't have hope.
Yeah.
They're just lost. You know, how do I go about, you know, getting my visa renewed, or you know, how did you get your citizenship? How did you get sponsored? Or you know, there's so many different things that happen within this whole process.
And sometimes you just need a friend, right?
They just need to talk about it. You know, get it off their
And
off
for
their
us,
chest.
it's about three things, right? Friends, be friends, have food together because that creates a bond.
Especially among Brazilians, we love that.
It's all about eating.
and working with God. So that's the three things that we actually work together. And it's actually by helping people help us a lot. So we're growing a lot by doing that. Right? So
And you guys are very, very active at church as well, aren't you?
Yep. So I'm very active from the music perspective. In terms of, you know, we put up a band together a few years ago. We put a choir together as well.
And now you have a trio.
And now I have a trio.
Yeah,
so,
very good.
Yeah. So we're very active. You know, we also, the things that we learn from work in terms of our marketing experience, you know, we try and bring it in terms of the way that we do church as well. Marcelo has done some fantastic work in terms of how we represent ourselves visually and you know, on social media, on websites and whatever else. So, I mean, the really cool thing about being part of a church is that everyone has different gifts that God's given them. And we've been fortunate enough that, yes, we come from a corporate background, but we can also, I guess, bless our church with that experience as well.
And contribute for the whole community
That's
to
right.
grow and mature in different areas.
And I think one of the key things is it's going back to you asked a question before it started. If it was always like this, right? And if it was like this, and I think 15 years ago we grew up in a church environment and church presence, and we mentioned that in Portuguese, and we mentioned that in English as well. That and to the point of my career, I was doing so well as a teenager, young adult, saying, "Look, I can do it by myself," and decided to leave this environment and do things by myself. And he said, "Look, can you make money? Yeah, of course you can. Can you do things in life? Yes, of course you can." But coming back after many years fighting the fights by myself, for example, fighting this fight with God, it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different. I'm not saying that we don't have problems. Actually, we do have tons of problems. I can spend another 45 minutes just going through my problems just this week.
No, just 15, please.
But the key thing is we get scenarios that we say, look, you know what? I have no way of doing this.
Yeah.
I have no way of finding an answer for this. I just know, God, it's in your hands, because humanly possible, it's not possible. And so,
You know, because often we're so narrow-minded in terms of, you know, how you go about problems and issues, and God has just this bigger lens, and the lens of the future and your past, and understands everything about you. That He comes up with these solutions, you know, if we let Him, if we trust Him, and that, you know, it's difficult sometimes, you know, being in business, you know, you have to make decisions there and then, and you know, to sort of step back and let the spiritual sort of kick in sometimes and go, okay, God, this is in your hands, what should I be doing? Is sometimes very difficult to stop and do, even in your day-to-day life.
But this exercise of surrendering is daily, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's daily.
But it's also allowing God to be part of your everyday journey, whether it's, you know, things you're doing in church, in your church life, or whether it's in your home life, or in your work life.
it's one life, right?
That's what I was going to say. It's one life.
Yeah.
You cannot be a different person that you're in church, that you're in home, that you're at work. Like you must be one person. You need one person, God, right? So trusting God is.
You know, even of the smallest of problems, you know, and just taking God on that journey, like it's a real test of faith. And to absolutely surrender to God's will, and to know that He will open whichever way is best for you, is hard, and it is a blessing in a way, because we have a hope that so many other people find completely disillusioned about in different situations in life.
Absolutely. And Marcelo, you mentioned something very interesting in Portuguese about your interview process in the company, because I think many people are expecting something new in their careers, and I think that would be a good testimony.
Look, that's an interesting one. So I would tell part that I didn't say in Portuguese. I'll say that's in English. So in a different work before, I don't know, 5 years before, I was doing interviews every week and looking to change jobs and try to change jobs, and I was really like, God, I really want to change jobs, and God is saying, calm down, right? Stay there.
Hang on.
And stay, like, actually more than a year, actually. I was doing interviews every week and done 100 interviews, and it didn't work. And I was like, you know what, I give up. That's in your hands. Just do what I have to do. And I was trying myself, and then God, I feel that's this one, and I gave up. But then change work for some reasons, change work. But this one specifically that you're asking, I was working for someone else, and it was really impacted our relationship, and then decided to move and apply for, and that, we had a conversation, and I put in God's hands.
We had a tough conversation that one night, and this the whole balance between work and life was becoming a bit of an issue, and Marcelo decided to look at a couple of jobs that night.
And I applied for one. And I saw one job online, and I said, you know God, it's in your hands. I'm just gonna send this CV, and you know what? It's in your hands. And literally, I put in his hand and said, look, I forgot. I literally forgot. It's 9 o'clock, 8:10 in the morning. I received a phone call.
Best trust.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Best way to trust, just putting his hands and forget about it.
And the funny thing was, like, for me, it was a massive step back. For the role that I was before to the role that I was applying for was a massive step back. But I knew that role I could do with my eyes closed. Literally, it was something that was a little bit selfish, saying, you know what, if I can roll that role there, I can do it with my eyes closed. And I apply, and normally I know the process interviews like these would take like months, like 6 months sometimes. As you go through a series of interviews, panel discussions and everything. And that one took 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. 3 days.
You see, 3 days.
3 days. So it was like completely interesting. And before I actually even started, I got promoted.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Before you started?
Before I started, like, I literally got off on the call and said, look, you know what, we don't want you for that role anymore, I want you to that other role that's actually higher.
Wow.
And I think in 6 months I got promoted twice, and I think 3 years I company promoted, I don't know, 5 times.
Congratulations and praise God.
No, and the funny thing is, it's not about me, it's actually how God has used me in these different positions, and just like, you know what, now you're gonna help this area, like, go there. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going there. So how God is using me to these different areas, it's been good to see, and I'm just letting Him use me inside these companies. I'm not that I'm actually pointing and say I want to go there and do that. I know God said, you know what, go there. And by the way, I'm not saying that people should not be looking for better things or looking for improving their lives, but sometimes just letting God take ownership is something really hard. It's really hard. But as soon as you do that, He'll put in positions that might look
blows
small
your
to
mind,
you, and it
like
just blows
that
your
you
mind.
never thought was possible.
Yeah.
So.
And the good example, just to finish my line of telling this, is Joseph, right, in Egypt. Like, he was the guy, he became a nobody, he went to jail.
He didn't apply for slavery, but
No, he became
that's
slave.
what he got.
Right. And suddenly he was the prime minister of Egypt, right? So how God used him throughout in a jail, and then throughout in Potiphar's house, and used, right? And the same thing that I understand in my life is, God, you know what? Just use us as a family or as individuals, as a workers where you want us to be used. So that's what we're trying to do, and it's not easy humanly saying to just say, you know, God, we trust you, and we do our best what we're doing, but be in front of us.
The interesting thing is, Marcelo, when you ask Marcelo what his favourite story of the Bible is the story of Joseph, and even
it's
when
my story too. My favorite too.
Yeah. But the really cool thing about it was, you know, when he was at his lowest, he would look at Joseph's story and get hope. and be hopeful for a stronger, because this guy had a very similar trajectory to what Marcelo had in terms of the transition.
By the way, I wasn't in jail. I never went
You
to
didn't
jail.
go to jail.
No, I didn't go to jail. Just be clear. Just be clear.
No. But to have that, that hope in the same way that God had always guided Joseph in every phase of his life, even when he was, a prisoner and working hard labor, to when he was the right hand of Pharaoh and being the governor of Egypt. So, and I guess that's the hope that we have, that I guess a lot of people don't have, and that's what we want to share in a lot of the ministries that we have and we participate in.
With the coat of many colors.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying before, right? So it doesn't matter where you were, God's going to be using you. So the ego thing needs to be stripped off. So that's something I learned quite quickly in my life, was like, strip your ego off. Even if people are like, oh, Marcelo, sometimes I portray as being like very focused on myself, but it's something that I learned that God's used me, even working as a construction worker, as a cleaner, like, because for God doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter if you're head of marketing or you're working construction. So if I resign today, or I get sacked inside the company I'm working for, and I'm working construction back, I don't mind. I know that God's going to be using me whatever I am. And that's the thing that I think is important for me, is put God first. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you're doing.
Everything will fall into place.
Yeah, and I think for me, being a Christian, this trust in God is the thing that has been carrying me on all the time, and has been making my life meaningful, is to trust Him. And seeing that in you guys so young as a couple, it's makes me feel so hopeful for the youth, that you can do it. You have everything to do it. Just trust that God is going to do in your life what is better for you.
Yeah.
Through His will. And
Amen.
I really, really love that.
Amen.
And now if I can ask Sarah to pray for us.
Sure.
Yes.
Dear Heavenly Father, I would like to thank you, Lord, that we are able to come to you at any time, at any day, and whatever problem we have, and come to you, Lord, and know that you are our hope. You know what is best for us, and you know how to guide us. Lord, thank you so much for that hope. And please help us to continue to pass on that hope on to others, because we don't want to be selfish about it. So please help us to enable more people to feel the same power, the same compassion that you've given us. Bless us now, and thank you for all the many blessings that you have given us. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys for the interview, and God bless you. And thank you for watching, and we will be soon together again. Bye-bye.